Hey trainers, it's Alakaham here with some more Pokemon video magic, and in today's video I'm going to be showcasing Regirock and Regice in the Open Ultra League. And the main reason I wanted to do this is because these two Pokemon have become recently available. There's folks who may have been getting access to them for the first time in the past month or so, and I thought maybe folks would be interested in knowing whether or not to power these up. So we are going to start with Regirock, which is actually my favorite of the bunch. I am a fan of all the Regis really, but Regirock is extra nice in the Ultra League. So I'm going to be running this team that you can see on the screen here with Trevenant up front, and we run into a Blaziken, which is a very iffy matchup. I think that Trevenant wins this just because Blaziken is a little bit glassy. Yeah, but it has to go into the situation where everyone has used up shields. My opponent brings in an Empoleon, which could do a decent amount of damage to the Trevenant, but then they swap over into a Clefable there and try to catch the Shadow Ball, which they do. And they were hoping, I think, to build up some energy on that Empoleon before switching out so that they could throw a Drill Peck when they came back in. But they were not ready for Reggie. We were going to be able to Stone Edge them and then force them to throw their energy before we got to a Focus Blast there. All right, so running a slightly different team here. And moving into the Kingdra safe swap this time. Kingdra is also I'm going to put my buddy down so that I can concentrate a little bit easier for the rest of this video. Kingdra is also a relatively recent build for me, but I have really, really loved it. The sheer damage from Dragon Breath is just incredible. So I'm going to go ahead and give up all of my shields here so that I can farm down and then come out with an Outrage loaded. So having this Water Dragon typing makes Kingdra really, really strong. You see how much damage we just chunked off of that XL Abomasnow. So we are able to do an incredible amount of damage, and then they swap into a Swampert to get away from our Regirock, and that is absolutely fine by me because we can just go for double Seed Bomb on the Trevenant here. So we're going to go once to grab that shield, and we are going to have to tank a move here, but Swampert does not have anything that one-shots. The only fear is that they do something like throw a Sludge Wave, and they did. We just barely hang on. Trevenant gets to the Seed Bomb, narrowly takes out the Swampert. The Abomasnow completely takes us out, and it's not done quite yet. So the Abomasnow could have done super effective damage with an Energy Ball, but fortunately we were able to get to the Stone Edge there, and that's going to be a good game. So I know these first two games, it's been kind of the threat of Regirock that's been a little more prominent, right, than the actual head-to-head Regirock versus another Pokemon, but I am hoping to collect some battles where I can showcase Regirock heading off against some others here as well. And the game took a long time to queue here. These first few battles were all taken from the same set so that I could grab a little sampling here. Okay, so here we come across a Greedent, and Greedent is really tough for most of my team, and then the opponent brings in a Primarina, so all kinds of interesting choices here. This was a really fun match. They appropriately counted the Dragon Breaths and shielded the Outrage, which is not something that I really know how to do, so yeah. I kind of figure that Regirock is going to need to pull a sweep because Trevenant is not going to be able to beat the Greedent. So I just opted to let it go, take shield advantage. I'm going to see if I can chip some damage here with Seed Bomb, which, as it turns out, I can. And then we are going to swap into the Regirock. So Regirock is fairly tanky. It can take a couple of moves from the Greedent, and unfortunately this thing had a bunch of energy, so I went ahead and shielded once there, hoping that I can go ahead and threaten them and get another shield pretty soon, or get their other shield. And unfortunately they finally get that defense drop, right? So I'm going to build up as much energy as possible, go for the Stone Edge, which is the cheaper move. I more or less have to block here, and then a Stone Edge might be able to take them out from this range, but just to be safe, I'm going to go ahead and go for that Focus Blast. So we are going to be blasting that Greedent out of here, and then there is a Scissor, and man, that's so unfortunate because the Regirock could have done a bunch of damage with Stone Edge, and I was not that far away from the Stone Edge. It would have been neutral because of that bug typing, but unfortunately we dropped that particular match. So that's all right. That's a good game to my opponent, and we'll go into the next one. I'm gonna get a little coffee refresher there while the game is queuing. Looks like this one was taking quite a while to get things put together. Game was having a tough time matching me to an opponent, but I think we are about ready to go here. Yep, here we go. So running the same team, we've got Trevenant, Kingdra, and Regirock. And the whole team does okay, but not great against Walrein. So everybody on my team has play against Walrein, but none of them just like dominate it, right? Especially when shields are in play. So I definitely thought that safe swapping into the Kingdra would be the best choice here because we can resist some of the, or not resist, but we just take neutral from the ice attacks, whereas the other two take super effective damage. And then our dragon type moves are going to be pretty strong against the Walrein. And then we are able to take it out because we are able to land the... So the opponent brings in their Chandelure, which is not really a strong response to a Kingdra. So we were able to throw the Octazooka. And then I did not shield the first of their attacks because most of the time, in my experience, Chandelure will go for Flame Charge to boost their attack before they go for Shadow Ball, which is exactly what this one did. So we are going to be able to take them out with the Stone Edge, and we are one shield left. Let's see what they've got in the back. It is a Swampert. I'm going to go ahead and throw a Stone Edge just to get some chip damage, but instead I got a shield. Maybe they thought that I had enough energy for a Focus Blast. Obviously Trev is going to do really well here, so we can just let them take out the Regirock, and then the opponent is going to forfeit, so that worked out nicely. So y'all might have noticed here that Regirock is a lot of its strength comes from Gravitas. The threat of getting hit with something like a Stone Edge gets opponents to make all kinds of mistakes. So I do really like Regirock, especially as a closer. And in the next set of games, I'm going to be using Regice. And Regice is going to actually be the safe swap. So the idea here is to bait out something that would be strong against Cresselia, right? Like a fairy type or a ghost type, which is often in this league going to be Togekiss or Giratina, both of which happen to have cross typings that make them vulnerable to ice. So here they really want to win switch, and I baited with the Thunder because it A, does super effective damage, but B, is a little bit more energy efficient, and then I went for the Blizzard attacks there. So Regice did exactly what I needed it to do. It took out it pulled out the strongest counter, hopefully, to Cresselia, and then it took out that Togekiss. So Cresselia should be good to go against the Swampert here because we have access to Grass Knot. And I know that people run all kinds of moves on Cresselia these days, but I just run the standard moves recommended by PV Poke because that's what has worked out best for me, more or less, so far in the past. I go for an aggressive farm down here, but unfortunately the Swampert's going to get to a move. Yeah, but actually that worked out okay because I don't want the Melmetal to get a bunch of farm here, right? So I'm just going to go for Moonblast, see if I can debuff the attack. If I don't, that's fine. If they go for an aggressive farm down, I'm going to get to another one. Yeah, so good counting on my opponent's part. They built up just enough. And then before they get to their superpower, or their back-to-back superpowers, which is what they would need there, Swampert is going to get to the Earthquake, so we will clinch that game. Regice has been really, really fun as a safe swap. Like I said, I like Regirock as the closer because it can do big damage in the end and it's very bulky. Regice is not quite as bulky, but it does get to those moves pretty fast. Thunder charges up super, super fast. Okay, so this is not a great lead, and we both simultaneously swap. I'm not sure why my opponent swapped, because they could, they were in as decent shape as I was there. But in any case, neither of us decided that we liked that lead without energy. So I ended up in this matchup with the Regice versus the Snorlax, and I went for the Thunder bait first, and they let it through, so I was thinking maybe they would believe that I was just throwing thunder attacks, and then I went for the Blizzard. So now they know I have Blizzard, they've got to be careful, and I'm going to go ahead and throw that Thunder against the Lugia. Just barely make it to the Lugia there, and or not to the Lugia, just barely make it to the Thunder. And that Lugia has been building up a lot of energy, so I've got to really be careful here. I'm going to block this first, what I assume will be close combat. Yeah, and I think they probably had back-to-back close combats or close to it there. I'm going to throw the Hydro Cannon, and then I win CMP tie on the next one, so they might have been a move or so away. Nope, they've already had it, but that's fine. We can go down now, no big deal. Okay, so they don't quite take out the Swampert. They'll come in and farm down with the Lugia. I was going to go ahead and throw the Hydro Cannon, but they decided they did not want me to do that, so that's fine. This is a fairly good matchup now for me. Especially because I have shield advantage here. We can slowly chip away at this Lugia. I definitely wanted to shield this attack because I was fearing the Aeroblast, and that is exactly what happened. This game could have gone very differently if I would have tried to call a Sky Attack bait. Yeah, so good shield there. Glad we didn't get Aeroblasted. A lot of people don't bother to put Aeroblast on their Ultra League Lugia, but they had just been charging for so long. I was very worried about that, so always respect the Aeroblast, right? So there's a couple of games with the Regice there as well. I like it on the safe swap. Obviously, Registeel is kind of where it's at for the Great League and Ultra League, and Regirock does pretty well also. And it has some decent bulk. It has a lot of vulnerabilities, but it has some pretty decent bulk, and it has a good moveset. Regice is a little bit harder to use, or Regice, or however you say it, but it's still fun. I love to see a Togekiss take a Blizzard to the face as much as the next trainer, so that one's pretty nice. Hopefully this kind of helps you figure out whether you want to power up your Regis, if that's something that you were thinking about. And I will be developing some more video content to share with you all soon. If you enjoyed, please go ahead and give the video a like, and I'll catch you in the next one. Until then, trainers.